Okay, folks. So I thought we could just launch right into the PayPal demo. Some prerequisites to get to this step, I believe, are that, well, obviously you need to have a PayPal account, which would start out just being a personal one. And then you could upgrade that one to a business account. I'm not sure if you can start out automatically with a business account. That definitely would be something that you'd ask a rep. But you at least need to have a business account so that you would have access to making these buttons, the payment buttons. And then also disclaimer, we have no ties to PayPal. We just see that it's the most commonly used, especially when we were starting out with MyLO. We know that there's a whole lot more options now, but this is kind of still been the easiest one to use. But any payment processing system can communicate in the same way with your MyLO site. All it takes is the embed code. Okay, so with PayPal, we obviously see that there's a number of different button types. The ones that I recommend, because we're usually doing membership, donations, and probably like merchandise registration, kind of similar transaction items. Buy now and add to cart are kind of, it depends on how you want to set up your payment page. If you want to have one button per item, so it could be one button per merchandise item or membership item, you would use a buy now button. It's definitely more to track, because then you'd have, let's say if you have three membership levels, you have 3 PayPal buttons to manage and update if needed. The add to cart button is much easier because you just have one and you're done. You list all of your items within this one button. And then the donate button would be obviously for donations. I believe that PayPal offers a lower rate for donations, so I don't know if that is tied with the button, but it wouldn't hurt to, go with the donate option there. And then they also have smart buttons. These allow for more payment options like Venmo and PayPal credit. Any other button that I just talked about only allows PayPal and major credit and debit card payments. So it's kind of just depends if you want to go with the classic buttons or go with something a little newer, fresher, if you know that you have use for Venmo and the credit. And then the other button options, you might use the subscriber automatic billing. They're kind of similar, but I'm just going to focus on these other ones for now. So let's actually use the add to cart button. I'm going to mock up a membership payment button for myself. So first we want to start out with the item name.
Can you make the text bigger, please?
For sure, thank you. There we go. And the item ID helps for you in the back end. I haven't played around with the tracking on PayPal payments because I obviously don't have any payments to track, but I would imagine that there's probably some fancy stuff that you can do with the tracking if you fill out the item ID. But let's go ahead and
Anne-Marie, can I interrupt just a second?
Yes.
I have to use my phone because I have no desktop computer and I don't know how to just see you and I don't see what you're sharing.
Are you able to swipe all the way maybe to the left? Try either all the way to the left or all the way to the right. It might give you the option.
Yeah, I
might want to turn it sideways too.
That also might help. I'm not too personally familiar with watching a shared screen on the phone.
Then on the iPhone, it works to swipe.
And is it all the way like to one end that the screen shows up? Do you know, Maddie?
I think, like you said, it's like on the left side. So you swipe until you can
Until
just
you
swipe
reach
back
the
and forth
end.
till you see it. Yeah.
Yeah, until you reach one end. If it's not there, try all the way to the other end. We are recording this session if you aren't able
No,
to.
you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Okay, so we have the item name, and actually we have the shopping cart. Yes. And what we want to do is add a drop-down menu, because the item name is actually like the category of what you're selling. So membership levels, something like that. This is where under customize buttons, we want to check the box for add drop-down menu with price/option. It's a little confusing, but that essentially just means you want to have more than one item. Let's see if the example. Oh, okay, yeah. So clicking example is pretty good to show you what you're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and just go with our usual levels. I'll make them cheap. And this time we'll just charge students $5. Okay, so that gives me my options and my prices. If I want to name the drop-down menu, this portion, if I add membership levels here, this is going to show up to the public. This item name up here is only visible to me in the PayPal backend. So you could give it a bit more of a specific name if you want to just share it with those who have access to your PayPal account. And then we can continue to add as many options or remove as we need to. Once we click done, it gives you a preview over here to the right. It updates that preview. And we can add a drop-down menu of additional options. These additional options won't have prices attached to them, but I can't even think of an example of what you'd want in addition to a membership level, but it's there in case. Definitely for merchandise, it's super helpful.
Could you use it for a donate? Could you use it to donate?
For donate,
I mean, if they wanted to become a member and donate on the same page?
It wouldn't, because this doesn't have a price tied to it. Yeah.
So they can't enter their own price. There's just no price at all tied to it.
Right. The price that you've set for the item is that's the only price they're going to be charged, or amount they're going to be charged. With this down here, you might ask, are you interested in joining us? Or I don't know, like select this if you would like to know more about volunteering, or select this if you want to join our newsletter, subscribe to our newsletter. But that's definitely just an option that you have there. Add text field. This is, let's see, I think it's going to allow them to enter something in. So it could be like for comments. So that's fairly simple there as far as setting it up. To customize the text or appearance, it's allowing you to customize like the way that the button is going to show up. It's not going to let you customize everything above it. Like you can't make the text bigger or smaller from here. So we could use a smaller button. We could use our own button. So this allows us to use an image. The only thing is you have to have it uploaded online somewhere. So I would just recommend uploading it to the MyLO media library. And then once you have it uploaded, if you go to manage files, you're going to want to look at the picture in its own window. So either copy the link address, or like I said, look at the picture in its own window And this is the URL you'd want to use. This is probably not the best payment button image, but I'm gonna go with it. So, and let me know if I'm going too fast. Okay. So we plop in that image URL, and it can be any type, JPEG, PNG, whatever it is, as long as it has, you know, the HTTP part and then the dot, whatever ending of image it is. And then going down here, you know, if it's items, you know how to fill these out. Email address to receive payments is probably something that you want to use. I believe if you're logged in, this is going to automatically take your account's email address as the answer to that. I thought I was logged in. I am not. But that's fine. So make sure you're logged in. It obviously reminds me constantly, so that's a good thing. I'm just going to try, well, let's go ahead and log in. Hopefully it saves my information. It did not, unfortunately, but I have one here that I was working with. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm just going to add back kind of what we had so far. All right, so we still have drop down. It's 2 instead, that's fine. Okay, so that email address to use, it's not going to use that because the merchant account ID is going to be used instead. I don't know exactly what that means, but PayPal, you know, is going to connect that with your account. Or you could use your primary email address that you have listed. It gives you the option.
What about this tax rate? How do we have any idea about our tax rate? We wouldn't have a tax rate, right, for a membership?
For membership, no. So the shipping and the tax, those are both for merchandise that you would fill out. So you could skip these two for membership. And I don't know if like event registration, you probably don't have to charge tax for as well. I think it's just for merchandise. So I think it's just based off of your local tax rate for selling items.
I thought it figured it out by you know.
By someone's zip code?
Yeah, I thought it would do it automatically for you. You didn't have to put that in.
I don't believe so. I'm not entirely sure. It would do it automatically, but that would be something if you are looking to use PayPal for selling merchandise to find out with a PayPal rep, because I personally don't know. But as far as if we were just working with membership, we can skip the step 2. This is more advanced, again, like tracking in the back end of PayPal. So track inventory track inventory would be what would require you to use, if we go back to step 1, this item ID. But again, if we're just working with merchandise, I can just skip step 2 altogether. Or if we're just working with membership, sorry. Okay, so now step 3 is where we want to customize the checkout pages. We can, the two most important parts are that we want to make sure that people who successfully completed the payment and people who cancel the payment, both of those folks would come back to our site. So you may want to create 2 different pages that one says, thank you, your payment is complete, or something like that. And the other could say, what happened? You know, you didn't finish the transaction or something. Before I get to that, so it asks if you want to allow them to add special instructions. And by default, that is set to yes. It's kind of like the comment section. If you need the customer's shipping address, it will ask for that during checkout as well. And then here is where we want to fill these out. By default, these are unchecked. So the first is when they cancel. So we could have a specific page for those that cancel. I could call the page cancel on the MyLO site, and then, like I said, have a message that tries to get them back. And then on the other hand, when they do finish the checkout, you could just lead them back to your homepage or lead them back to the join page where they started. But sometimes that is a little confusing, or it may not give the person the confirmation that they were looking for. So it can be helpful to have a success page that lets them know, thanks, we're working to receive your payment through PayPal. You know, you've completed your steps. Something to give them confirmation that either it didn't go through or that yes, it did. I'm actually going to leave these as the home page for now, just because I don't actually have the success and cancel pages, unfortunately. And then the advanced variables, we can skip this because we're just going to go with the classic PayPal options. This just would allow us to further customize the HTML code. So now I can go ahead and save my changes. And then it gives me the instructions to add the button code to my web page. And that's just what we're going to go through. So we're going to select this code and copy. And let's make our way over to my demo site. Okay, so I'm working with the join page. Right now, I have a very puny web form. And that's fine for now. I'm going to, add to it later. But essentially, what I want to do is have folks fill out the form. Once they submit, on this confirmation page is where I'd like them to see the payment button. By default, when you have nothing, when you haven't made changes or manually added anything to the confirmation page, this is the default sentence. So let's go back to the form, and I'm going to go ahead and add the embed code to the confirmation page section. So I go through web form, and I go to form settings.
Okay, I'm very interested in this because I was going to ask you about this because I was not able to associate the PayPal button with the form.
Oh,
and
okay.
I had to send them back to the membership page.
I see.
Kind of manually. I told them go back.
Right. Yeah, and so
yeah,
adding the PayPal button to the confirmation message or confirmation page prevents that one click back, that one little loop around. Yeah, so from web form to form settings, we are here at the submission settings. The confirmation message by default is set to WYSIWYG. We want to change it to full HTML so we can paste in the code. But before I do that, I would recommend starting out with adding whatever text you want to see at the top. So maybe a heading, maybe some context, some explanation as to what they're about to do. So let's say, whoops, I'm not typing in the right place. So let's make the title payment page. You must select membership level. You will complete payment at paypal.com, something like that.
and if you want to give them the option of mailing in a check, you would put that text here also?
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't hurt to have it even when you are on the like page side before the actual form, you could have it here in the top, and leagues that have done that, we've seen them kind of put it in both places. So yeah, it could be check, payment, and then you have info about that, and then online payment. And then so in this way, the payment page, because this is like the top header, I'm going to make it the biggest one, and then check payment and online payment are going to be the next size down. And so now I can go ahead and swap to the full HTML, because I've put in all the text I want, and I don't need to make any other changes. I can leave my cursor there because once I add my HTML or the embed code here, it's just going to start on a new line, the payment button. So once I paste that in, we leave it set to full HTML, and we go ahead and save. I'm not going to make any other changes here. We're just going to go straight to save that configuration. And so now that I've saved it, I can now actually swap it to the WYSIWYG if I wanted to take a look at it from here. So that's one way. And just make sure if you do that, don't save as WYSIWYG. If you do make a change under WYSIWYG, let's say I wanted to add that. I do need to switch back to full HTML, and then I can go ahead and save again. So yeah, so one way to look at it, to preview it, is to come here and look at WYSIWYG, don't save it. Or if I come back to view published, in the URL bar, I have the URL of the join page. What I'm going to add to the end of it is /DONE, /done. And so this gives me a preview at the confirmation page. And this is a better view as to what the public is going to see. And it doesn't require that you submit a response to see this.
So how did you get here?
In the URL bar. So if I go back to the form, I clicked up in the address bar. At the end of the URL, I added my text or my cursor and typed in /done. So if you have, whatever your long URL is and it ends with /membership-form, then at the end of that, you tack on /done. No matter what your web form URL is, if you add /done, it's taking you to your confirmation page.
For the original form where you just had that one entry name?
Right.
So if you just put Amaris in there, we go to the next page, right?
Yes. Yeah, it will take me as long as I submit all the required questions.
Can we change the text on that button?
When it comes to the PayPal button?
Yes.
Unfortunately not. The PayPal, I'm going to go back to that screen. It didn't give me the option when I was customizing it. Let's see, go back to edit this button. It gave me the chance to use a different image. And actually, those are the only two options. Let's see, customize text or appearance. Oh, you can use a smaller button, but it doesn't let you customize this text. If you wanted to use a button that has different text, but it looks similar, I would recommend finding an image of that button. There's probably PayPal images that say pay now or something, or more along the lines of what you're looking for. It would be better at that point to just use your own image if you don't like the add to cart text.
But it seems to me they need to know that this is a cart that based thing. I don't use a cart. I just go directly and make a payment. So if you have add to cart, it's a signal that you're using a cart. I mean, that's
I see.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in that way, if you are, let's see, does it allow you to add any? It doesn't really allow you to add comments like in the payment button. But if you were trying to change the button and you may want to add more context in the confirmation page of your MyLO page. Yeah, Jan.
So because you're using a cart, technically they could select individual, household, and student, and it would go into the cart, and it would be a big mess probably.
It is possible. But yeah, in that way, I'm putting a lot of faith into the person filling out the form.
With the pull down, you're saying that with the pull down, they would be able to select multiple things?
There's a possibility. Well, it is an add to cart button, but I haven't tried it myself. If I click add to cart, it does take me immediately to the PayPal page. But let's say I close out of that and say, oh no, I don't want the participating, I want supporting. I'm going to add that to my cart.
Oh, I see.
I think that's when it starts to build up. I should have yeah. So it's not as easy to do, but it's possible. They would have to close out of the first transaction and then start up a new one. But you could make them aware of that if you do choose to use this button. But yeah, the buy now payment button is an option against, or to prevent any of this kind of mix up.
Right. You can continue shopping.
Yeah. What happens when you click that?
When I click
continue shopping, where does it take you?
Continue shopping. Oh, it takes me back. Oh, it takes me to the MyLO homepage. I believe let's see if this is something that I can change here.
I mean, they can always remove it from their cart.
Right. And there was the option for that. It looks like it might have redirected from my homepage. Oh, I'm working on the demo site. That might be something I want to update. I might have a thanks page. Let's try that. I'm just going to update this, and it should hopefully update the embed code. Custom image URL is required. Whoops.
Ooh.
Let's just stick with the PayPal button for now so I can save that. Okay, so before I copy this to take it over, I just want to see if it actually does update on its own. After you've made changes in PayPal, you may or may not be required to replace the existing embed code. Let's see. Is there a way that it'll show canceled? I'm not entirely sure why it is kicking me. It's not kicking me onto my home page or to my home page, because that's what I have set up for the canceled payment.
No, you sure don't want this. My users would be, what?
Yeah, I will have to play around with this some more.
Most of us only have one site to deal with, unlike Emily's.
Well, that actually gives me an idea. Maybe adding a disclaimer here, because I know that it's not only webmasters that land here. So I could add something with like the notice box that says, check down below for your league's name or something like that, because we definitely do get quite a few messages too from some users where they say, I just joined this league and I can't access, or the site says I don't have access. Add warning. Okay. Okay. So I have a couple of things to do there. So that, unfortunately, we ended on a bad note there. The cancel payment option for PayPal is not working as expected. But it is fairly easy to create these buttons. Let's go back and see if I can go back to the customization. Okay, no, I'm just going to go there by typing in the URL myself. So paypal.com/buttons. Whoops. So let's go ahead, or does anybody have a request of which button they'd like to see? We have the smart buttons. Sell on social, I'm not too familiar with.
Well, buy now is a lot easier in that you don't have, I mean, for the user, they don't have to think about a card. If you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that one. Yeah, this is the most straightforward payment button to use. And let's see, whoops. So the item name, I believe that this will show up to the user. Or actually, no, I think it is still just to PayPal backend. You have the same customizable options. This time, it's just buying one option and that's it. If they do end up closing out and they go back to buy, I don't think that it's remembering their previous option, but we'll definitely test it out. So let's just add some prices. Okay, so we have a drop-down menu. I'm going to go ahead and just leave that at that. And again, you have the options to customize. With this buy now button, it has the additional option to display credit card logos. I don't know why it doesn't give you the option with the other add to cart. Oh, and then this button, buy now or pay now, does give you the option to choose which one.
Oh, that's much better.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to say pay instead of buy with membership. And then I'm not sure why it changes up the credit card logos, but PayPal knows why. You can also, again, use your own button image. So yeah, I think this is better for single items. Definitely membership makes sense. And then again, the customize advanced features. Do you
Now,
want?
if we could you use this for donate and have them put in the amount of money they want to donate, so it's not limited to the ones that are in the pull down?
I don't think so. You do have to specify. So I would recommend the donate button for donations. I think it's set up in that way that allows you to just have an open amount field. So this time I'm just going to leave these blank to see what the difference is. If we don't end up filling in the, the URL if they cancel, the URL if they finish. If I create the button, I'm going to be taken to the embed code screen. Oops, option price drop-down menu name is required. I did not name it anything. So membership levels, that's what's going to show to the public. Okay, so it's created now. And I'll go ahead and copy this again. Coming back over, I'm going to go back to edit my confirmation message, over to web form and form settings. And this time, to make it easy, you can swap to WYSIWYG and then just highlight the whole thing and remove it. The one last step you want is to remove the empty space that's left. So just backspace one more time, and that's getting rid of everything. If I do that, I'm going to go back and do it again. If I highlight everything and get rid of it, but I do leave that empty line, to me, it looks empty from here. But if we swap to the full HTML, we see that there's something still. There's still a little bit of HTML code. So that's where, when we're on the WYSIWYG side, swapping it from full HTML back to WYSIWYG also did the trick. But if you didn't do that and you were on the WYSIWYG side, just backspace one last time. That's the trick to get rid of it completely. So now I'm ready to plop in my new embed code. So I'm going to go back to full HTML. Oh, and actually it did not get rid of it. So sorry, scratch what I said, do backspace as recommended. So I'm getting rid of, whoops, let me go ahead and just backspace this and we'll paste. Okay, again, we need to save before we can preview it in the WYSIWYG. So do that first. And then I can take a peek. If I go to WYSIWYG, now I can see a bit of what they're going to see. So without saving, I'm going to go over to view published. And I'm going to do the trick. Just so I don't have to submit anything. At the end, I'm adding /done to the end of my URL. Awesome. Okay, so now let's go through and pretend like I'm going to pay. Okay, so it's a bit of a different interface that we see immediately. We're able to log in where I don't think it gave me that option before unless it had me logged in already. And then it immediately gives me the other option of paying with my credit or debit card. So if I do that, I think the next screen is probably where we started with the add to cart button. No, still a bit different. Okay, so I'm just going to cancel. We'll close, whoops. Go back to MyLO. And I just wanted to try again to say, whoops, I added the wrong item. I wanted to add option 1. And when we click pay now, just to see if it's remembering. Okay, awesome. So it just remembers the single item that they added or that they want to pay for. So it definitely is not remembering any cart. And unfortunately, it's not giving me a chance to click cancel anywhere, so I can't test out fully the kickback that it would do, the redirect that it would automatically do. Okay, no, there's unfortunately not a way. But yeah, so let's quickly go through a donate button too, since we were able to see both of those. So the add to cart button is probably best for your merchandise only. The buy now button is great for membership. And then the donate button, which we'll go to now, will be great for your donations.
I use the form to collect all the information that I want about this person. It gets automatically sent, whether they pay by check or whether they pay by PayPal. So then I get it electronically rather than them just going and sending me a check. There's a lot more information, and it's in better form for the person who's keeping track of things.
And you're saying like the check payments, they're not having to include a long form with that check, you're getting it electronically?
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of how we have this barely set up. We have check payment and online payment information, so that tells us that we're expecting all types of forms of payment folks to be filling out the form. So whether they're paying by check, whether they're paying online by PayPal or credit card, debit card, they need to fill out the form.
Yes.
Yeah, we always ask them to print off their confirmation from the form, because when they submit the form, it sends them an email. And we ask them to include that with their check so that we know for sure, you know, which kind of is unnecessary because we do have the form online and hopefully their name is on the check, but you know.
It's sometimes helpful to know right away without having to look back at something. So, and the system allows you to do that. So that's the good thing. That might be something that we can go over to add to the web form that I have created. So let's go ahead and add a donations type button. I think it logged me out. Come on. And I'm getting a message from Zoom that my audio quality might be a little messed up, or am I getting a little choppy?
To me.
Okay. Okay. So let's see. Again, this process of creating this button is once again more different than the last process. The difference, or the different types of buttons, share a link or QR code. That's probably not what you're trying to do, but may be helpful if you're ever sharing this out in person. But we're just going to put a button on your website. Whoops. It is going a little slow here. Oh, I'm going to zoom out just a tiny bit. Okay, there we go. It had loaded, but it was a little too large.
Oh.
So the PayPal button style, it should be giving me a preview, but I'm not seeing anything, which is unfortunate. There we go. Okay, so I think this up here is supposed to represent your web page, and so this is the preview. It's a little funky that they do it that way, but anyway, you have large or small, kind of like how we had before. You could use your own button style, which is your own image, but this time you can just upload from your own device, which is a little bit easier. You don't have to upload to MyLO. I don't have, well, there we go. Let's just use an arrow. It's not the best. And let's go ahead and see what is next. I think that it will give you options. Okay, the organization name is just taken from how you set up your PayPal business account. You can display your logo. This is once the person clicks on that payment button. My payment button is the big black arrow. So once they click on that, this is what we're working on now. So they'll see our logo, donate to, and then the organization name. I can add an image. I think, oh, okay, but it goes above the logo. It does give it a nice touch if you have a nice image to add there. I feel like
I can't see the button if you're seeing the button.
so let's see, if I go back, quit creating, if you quit now, oh no, I want to go back to, there we go. So back to step one. So I'm going to just go back to using the PayPal button. It's definitely better. So this is the button, how it would be seen on your website, wherever you've added it. Now that I'm going to click continue, it's going to take us to what the customer will see once they click donate. So I can now see the donate page preview. And so that's why we no longer see that donate button, but this is the button that we now see. So, so again, you can add an image at the top that would be above your logo. You can add an option or a message here. It's going to appear under your logo, no, under your organization name. So let's just add something. Probably could just copy this from MyLO.
You might also have two different, like we have the education fund and we have the regular fund. And so you might put in the comment, I mean, in our case, we have a radio button, but this one's so tailored to just donating. I don't know how much flexibility you have.
If you probably would want to create two different donate buttons, I would assume, just thinking on how PayPal will be working, it's probably going to be pretty rigid in that sense, to not give further options. So I'm just going to add an image to the top of the donation page so we can see all of the settings used like fully. Let's see if that'll be.
We have an education fund and a general fund too.
Mm-hmm.
And they choose which fund it goes to.
Through PayPal?
Through PayPal.
Oh, okay, awesome.
So how do you implement that?
When it comes to payment, it defaults to the general fund, but it will ask if you want to go to the ed fund.
Did you use this interface to make that, or did you tailor? So where in that interface?
So I'll probably get to this step pretty soon.
Okay.
So I added the message that appears down here. How do you want to display your donation page? So the full page experience, they're going to be taken from your MyLO site to paypal.com. So, and actually, sorry, it's not going to be in the same tab. It's going to be in a new page, a new window. But they will be no longer on the MyLO tab for your site. They'll be over on PayPal making the payment. Or you can have a pop-up. We see that the preview has kind of changed. The pop-up is now overlaid on top of the grayed out website in the background. So this donate button is this option of making it pop up is not an option in any other payment button as far as the ones we saw. So that's why it's nice to use the donate option, because it gives you some more flexibility. So let's go ahead and continue. I'm going to leave it as the pop-up. Customize your donation details. So I think this is probably where we're going to see that option. Programs the donation can benefit. So we're going to scroll past the currency. How much do you want donors to give? Any amount is probably what we want to do, or suggest 3 amounts plus other. Either of those would be recommended. And then let donors make monthly contributions is already selected. If you turn that off, the checkbox disappears. Same as giving the option for covering or offsetting the cost of fees. So now, perfect. So we can let the donors choose specific programs for their donation, and we can add as many as we'd like. It is a drop-down menu. And we just add another program. Awesome. And it gives us, as we continue to add, it gives us a way to move them around. And then here in California, we have Voter's Edge. I don't know.
And then when the money comes to us, we've got it set up so it's deposited in, if someone says Ed Fund, it's deposited in the Ed Fund. And if someone says General Fund, it's deposited in the General Fund.
Do you know how that part was set up?
It can't have been too hard because I managed to do it.
Well, it's good to know that it is possible.
Yes, it is possible, and it's a lot less swearing than I've done this week, trying to get an image uploaded. So, but it was very easy. It's the back end of where you're listing what bank account you want it to go to. There's an option to put in another one, just like here where you've got education fund or general.
Yeah, the fact that you're able to add multiple programs, you're able to add multiple accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if we have, I think our person just sends it over with a check or something. I don't know that we have multiple accounts. But I'll ask her. That's good.
Yeah, we have two. We have one bank account dedicated only to general fund and one only to ed fund.
What state are you in?
Michigan.
Michigan, okay.
I had to think. I'm living in Massachusetts, but I work with Michigan.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they're a nice bunch of people.
Well, Michigan people are nice. Yes. Midwesterners.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue just so that we get to the final page. The payment page, it looks like once they're filling in their information, by default, a lot of things are already filled in, and we see the preview. We do want their mailing address. I think usually you want that with any payment. You can have them send you a note. The instructions, if you do add them, let's see, add a note here. They get added to the little plus sign. If I don't add anything, it just says add a note to your donation. And this is where we added this before for the add to cart button, take donors back to your website. We want to see them here when they cancel. And again, if you have a specific cancel page, that will be nice. Oops, let me use this and I'll remove the thanks. But again, if you have custom pages for those, that would be great. And then it gives us the option to add additional HTML. Whoops, and I am going to skip that step. So I can go ahead and finish. And it gives it to me in a few ways. It gives me the shareable link. So that's nice to have if you wanted to have it linked anywhere instead of showing a physical button. But here we have the donate button. Here we go. Copy to clipboard option. Either you do it manually or I'm going to do it the lazy way. And I'm going to come back over. This time I'm going to go to my donate page. And I have the option. I could, create a web form. That is definitely recommended. As Liz said, if you're looking to collect more information than PayPal asks for, because PayPal is just going to ask first and last name and mailing address. That's it. You would want to create a web form on MyLO if you want more information. But I'm just going to go with the bare minimum and add it to my draft. So directly to the page rather than to the confirmation page. So coming down here, and I'm working with the default, this is what you receive when you receive a brand new site. So I'm just going to replace all of this and take it back one more. So I get rid of that formatting, and I'm just going to leave the top sentence because that's good and generic for our donation page. So I have two ways that I can go about this. I can add it here at the, in the bottom of the body. Directly, in this body box, I would have to swap from WYSIWYG to full HTML and add it here. paste it in there. Or my other option, if I want to leave that as WYSIWYG and not worry about switching back and forth, I can come down here to the body with embed code section and add a third-party embed code box. I won't have to switch around anything. By adding in this new box, I can just replace the text that's there with what I have on my clipboard. I'm going to go ahead and remove what I had before, just so we don't have a confusing double set of payment buttons. But if I had multiple things, that's the cool thing too with the body with embed code section. You can rearrange stuff if you do have multiple paragraph boxes added. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And hopefully we have a nice little button. Okay, it is definitely a nice little button. One thing that I love to do is center stuff. This is totally optional, but I just wanted to go over this step before I test the button. I'm going to go back down to where I did add it. So all I do is add the tags, the HTML tags for center. So it's open caret, word center, close caret. That's at the very beginning of the code. And then I go to the very, very bottom and I add almost the same thing, but it needs to be a closer tag this time. So open caret / makes it an ending tag, and then the word center and close caret. I could have added that closing tag at the end of that, final tag there, or as I did, it doesn't matter. But let's go ahead and save it that way. And then we can go ahead and test it out. Yay. I love a pop-up. But you have again, you have the option to make it the full screen. But this is definitely nice because if they do decide to cancel or say never mind, they're definitely on your site and on the same exact page that they were. So let me go ahead and pretend like I'm making the transaction. So awesome, I get to see the multiple options. I would add in my amount there, and it automatically tells me what the processing fees is, so I can help offset that. Let's see, I'm just checking everything so we can see what it says. Making this a monthly donation, it just gives them a bit of a warning. But let's go next. Can I make this bigger? There we go. Awesome. So, all right, they got me.
What about the choice between the education fund and didn't we have that as part of our choice?
I did. It did give me that option and I did select that.
I didn't see it.
There we go. Okay, let's see if I can go back. It's not, there we go. So use this donation for, and it gives me the 3 options that I entered.
That was in the pop-up?
This, yeah, in the pop-up, but you could have it in the full screen. But this is still the pop-up that I'm working with. When it was smaller, it was like about this size. When I clicked on it, they popped up down here.
Can you submit it again so I can see it work? Oh, this is the pop-up you're saying. Yes. I see it.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Got it.
And then I'm going to go next. They obviously wouldn't get this warning. They would see the amount or the total. They could add a note. And then my mailing address is filled in from, I think, being logged into my PayPal account. And then I would continue to the payment page. Again, it's giving me that warning. Okay, so obviously it's definitely not liking what I'm doing. But if one of your folks is actually trying to donate to your league, then they could continue. And then the next page is going to ask them for their payment information and things like that.
Maurice,
yeah.
Maurice, when you did the, I want to add processing fees, did it fill in? Did the system fill in the 65 cents?
It did. So let me do that again. Yeah, it is calculating it based on my donation amount. So let's do it like that. If I add $1, we see that it goes up to 53 cents. If I add one more, it goes up to 80 cents. Now that it's $10, $3.48 for 100. So it is doing it automatically. And, you know, I remember that there was some discussion, it has been a while, in the Google group about PayPal and their processing fees.
Yeah.
And last I remember was that in PayPal's policies, they explicitly say that you cannot pass on the fee to your customer. So it's a little surprising that they have this, but I'm assuming that it is because it is not saying that they're passing it off to them. It is asking for help to offset the cost. So it's that like fine line of using a bit of different terms that helps or prevents you from getting in trouble, I think is what that is. So I think this is probably helpful to us, like back in that discussion where we were talking about the processing fees. If you are still wondering about how you could pass them off, ask them if they would help offset the cost.
So is this, but this, we've only seen on the donate button. Was there an option to do that on the other things we looked at?
Unfortunately not. No, there isn't an automatic option. Yeah, so it wouldn't be as easy and wouldn't be like done right up front, unfortunately.
And when you donate this amount, I was wondering about this on my taxes. Do I say I had donated $103.48 when I do my taxes? Or I wouldn't do it for the league, but you know.
I think
the-
so, yeah, because that is technically your total donation amount. This is, you're adding to your donation. So yeah, if you are helping to offset that cost, then your total would be $103.48.
Okay, that's very nice, this button.
Yeah, and it
I
was really
mean,
easy to make. One other cool thing about the PayPal interface, if I come back over here, I just want to keep checking out what they allow or what they produced. They also give me a QR code automatically. So you can download it. Let's see it. I think it's going to download as an image. Yeah. So if I'm going to put it on the screen, I'm going to test it myself to point my camera at it and see if it does take my phone there. But that's nice. So in case you wanted to use the QR code or the link to your payment page in addition to your payment button. And yeah, it took me right there. I don't know if, no, you can't really see my phone screen. But yeah, that's really nice to have.
Yeah, that's really cool.
worked.
That
Yeah.
works.
Awesome.
It worked for me too.
Yay. Don't send any money.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, they might like
Abort,
it.
abort.
Okay, so then let's see. I think that I wanted to make a couple of changes because I know that we tested that with like the other, like the buy now and the add to cart embed code. If you make changes to the button and you don't swap out the embed code, I think that it's still going to display the old embed code. But with this donate button, it is the opposite, or it's different because you can make changes and they're seen live. So I'm going to see if I can use my own image. That's going to be probably the most obvious. Here we go. There's going to be just a tiny little, oh no, it's pretty big. That's fine. A little external, arrow. And I just want to quickly continue so I can finish to save it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I've done that. I'm not going to copy it and paste it in. I want to see if it changes on its own. So let's just refresh my MyLO page. Oh no, I was under the wrong impression. So unfortunately, you do have to copy and paste it in, but that's not too bad.
Maurice, do you
Yeah.
know if making changes also changes your QR code? So that
Oh,
if you have put your QR code out there and then you make a change, does that mess it up?
let's see. I do have both the old one downloaded. I'm going to bring that one back up on the screen. Oops. So let's see if it brings up. Oh, well, this is not going to be,
You
it's not
didn't
going
put
to
the
show the
embed
payment
code.
button.
No, you didn't put the embed code in.
No, well, and I only changed the button image. And if we, take a picture of the embed code, or I take a picture of the QR code, we're bypassing the payment button.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? We're not going to see it at all. Let me make one more change.
Well, there's usually an ID associated with your button. And if that's remaining the same, then your QR code would,
Yeah.
Remain
it-
as well.
Hope so,
right.
yes.
It does make sense that it would, follow the same suit as the embed code. If we have to update the embed code, we probably would have to update the QR code. Or are you saying the opposite, Liz?
I'm saying, yeah, I'm saying, because that ID that,
This
see,
one
it
here?
says, no, in the, yeah, same one as in the shareable link. If
Oh, I
that
see.
if that stays the same every time you edit it, then you should be fine.
I believe so. Okay, now
But
we can go ahead and try the QR code. I have not updated the embed code, but it did update. So I added the word LWV after empowering voters, defending democracy. And this is the,
Yeah.
let me double check. This is the original. Yeah, I haven't downloaded another version of the QR code.
Okay.
Let's double check. I'm going to go back here. Again, I haven't changed the embed code here. I'm just going to open the payment page to see if it made that change for me here. Okay, so it did make the change for me here. I think what happens is just that because I changed the image, I do have to physically change the embed code. If I make changes to any other part of the donate button or any other part of the payment experience, then it will be changed over automatically. I'm assuming that is the case because the image URL is probably included in the HTML.
Right.
But I heard somebody was possibly going to make a comment.
Well, I was just going to say that everything after you hit the button is happening in the back end. So that makes sense. The only thing that's in your HTML code is essentially, what you're seeing.
Yeah, that's very right. That's a good way to think about it. Awesome. Okay, so now I just left my center tags around, and I can even leave that space. HTML doesn't recognize a space like that, so it's going to get deleted anyway. So let's save it. And now we see my big crazy button. Awesome.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, so that is the extent of the PayPal buttons. What we didn't get to go over was the smart buttons. Definitely worth playing around with. I will say that one we don't see as commonly. I think most people are using PayPal or their credit or debit card to pay, so it's not as popular, the smart buttons.
So the smart buttons are basically to give you additional payment options besides PayPal and your credit card. Is that?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, it gives the Venmo option and the PayPal credit option. Yeah. Venmo I see as, a realistic that they'll probably will use it. The PayPal credit, not as much in league world. But yeah, it gives both of those additional options. But I wanted to go ahead and jump into some questions, at least for the remaining time that we have. Yeah, Liz.
We did a revision of some pages for our elections and voting, and the top page that you get on the top when you click the menu changed, and but the people who had the QR code didn't change the QR code, so it goes to an old page. Is there some way that I can make it automatically forward to the new page? I know you can do that with JavaScript, but is there any way, because this, right now what I had to do is just make that page identical to the top page, which is, you know, it's just every time I change it, I would have to change the other one.
Right.
So is there any automatic forwarding?
Unfortunately, there's not that you can do, but we can do that for you. So you can make the request anytime. We just need to know both pages, the destination and the origin, and we would make the redirect so that it would just stay in place indefinitely until you let us know. The workaround that you could do for yourself, the workaround doesn't allow you to have two duplicate pages that would be connected to each other. It would be like you're replacing one, if that makes sense. So like an example that I could think of is if you have a donate page, let's say it came by default with your site, but you are creating a new donate page, and you want to swap the old one for the new one that you've created. What you need to do that is the title is typically going to be the URL. Here we've tweaked it for this page, but typically the title is going to be donate so that the URL is donate. To replace the old page, you'd need to call it anything else but donate. So you could call it donut, you could call it donate here, donate old, whatever. That's going to change the URL. That then frees up the donate URL. So then the new page that you've created, you would title simply donate. And then the URL would be taken over by that new page. That's one way, but I don't know if that's exactly what you're trying to do, Liz. I think that reaching out to us to create a redirect would probably be the best in the case that you were explaining.
That'd be great. Do I have to, is there a charge for that?
Not at all.
Okay. And who do I send that to?
You can send that to me either at LeBron at LWVC or to the MyLO at LWVC, and both .org.
Thank you.
For sure.
Maurice, I had a question about the members only events. So if you make a members only event, will that display on the landing page, or do people have to go to the members section to see it?
They will have to go to the member section. As long as it's made private, it won't display on the front page. You can, although, add private items to your menu. So it would be visible when your members are logged in, but it's just not going to be on the front page down at the bottom.
Okay, so the menu would be the, in my case, I'm a purple gold site. So
are you across the top?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you would you could add it to your menu, and it would be only visible, or it'd only be there in the menu when folks are logged into their user account and belong to your league. Otherwise, it's just not going to appear in the menu at all. But yeah, if you have an event or article or any content that you've made private and you have it promoted to front page, this is technically it's the members only that is technically the front page for those private items. So it's only going to display here on your members only. It won't display on your main landing page, your main front page.
Okay. Is there any way to get it to like a little workaround, like where you could put it on the landing page and say, hey, members, come to this thing.
Oh, yeah.
And put a link there that only members could access?
Yeah. It would be something that you would want to create publicly. So an article, a page, or an event, promote that to your front page. And then whatever links that you had inside of there, you could have a link to the members only page or a link directly to one of these. Let's actually test that out. I'm going to create an article and just have a link to this contact us page, which is made private. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to fill out the bare minimum. Visit this page. All right. And so I need to choose my site. We can promote that and publish at the same time.
And that you made public, so it would go on a landing page.
It would go on the landing page, yes. So now I have it at the top. Let me go ahead and log out. Whoops. Okay, let's see. Oh, and there's I now have the ability to be able to flush caches. So if you're having an issue with not seeing something for a long amount of time, then you can let us know, because I can go ahead and see if flushing the cache will help with, seeing the most recent changes you've made. What I'm going to try actually is to masquerade. I'm going to just masquerade as you, Liz, and see if it takes me there or not. Being that I'm not a member of this league, this is what I see. So even if I was a general public member or general public user, I would see the same thing. So I'm going to go back again. I get to see the page and, the summary of it because this page itself is public, but this link to this clone of Contact Us is private. So I can click to open this page, look at it completely. But again, anytime I click on that link, I'm not authorized to access this page. So that would be a great workaround to get folks' attention to look at the members only or specifically at something private.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I had a time for action that came in yesterday that we had to say, act by today. So it comes in Thursday and you got to act by Friday. What is the end date I should be putting on that time for action? Will it stop showing up?
It's a good question. Well, what else were you going to say? Will it stop showing up?
Will it stop showing up on, if I say, got to do this by the 25th, will it stop showing up on the 25th, even though you can do it till the end of the day of the 25th?
Oh, I see. It will stop at midnight on the 26th. If that makes sense. So it goes.
It's from the 24th to the 25th.
Right. So it's going to
on the 25th.
It's going to display for all of the 25th and stop on midnight of the 26th. It'll disappear at the end of the 25th.
Day after?
Right. Right when the day ends, okay. Then it so no longer displays.
Midnight of the 25th. Midnight of the 25th, it stops.
Right. Or technically the 26th. Yes. It's midnight of the 26th because that's the start of the 26th.
Well, it's usually 12 a.m., so it's sort of the end of the 25th.
Well, a.m. is morning, right? So that associates it with the 26th. But what you're saying is the midnight between the 25th and the 26th is when it stops.
Correct. Yes.
12:01 on the 26th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Good question. And then I saw Liz and Mary Jo next.
Okay. On my positions page, could we go to my website?
Yeah.
This is not a big deal, but
Come on. Okay. You said positions. Is it under advocacy? And sorry, my let me masquerade as you because my login looks funky.
It looks funky. Yes.
Yeah. This probably looks a whole lot better.
No, under advocacy.
Okay.
Positions.
Okay.
So we represent all these different communities, but when you go down, it says Wheaton, Illinois positions. My fix for it was to add that at the top, but I didn't know how I could fix that. That seems to go in from some field.
Yeah, it is automatically filled in. This portion is taken from your league title. So just the same as how your league logo is filled in up here, it's whatever your homepage title is.
So I'm kind of stuck with it unless I want to change it and all that. It may appear in that change.
Yeah, it would. If you do change your homepage title, it appears in several places.
Okay, well, she was happy with the solution, but I said I'd ask.
And that does look really nice.
Well, we're trying to be more, less Wheaton-centric. We want everybody to feel that they're a part of our league.
Nice. More Wheaton area, not just Wheaton.
Right. But it isn't really the Wheaton area. It's like, I mean, the people in Ann Arbor who changed to their county, it's more encompassing more of a geographical area. It's okay. Thank you. Go ahead,
yeah,
Mary
for sure.
Jo.
Thanks, Liz. You're on mute, Mary Jo.
Jennifer Teller will take over, but we also had a question on trying to just update a URL or a PDF on our position page. And so if you could go to us and Jennifer is the one that's been working on it last.
Hence the much swearing.
Whoops.
And it's something I've done before and I just don't know what I'm doing wrong.
So where you said it's on your positions?
Yeah.
Okay, let me make my way to your site. All right. So the positions,
so I'm okay. Oh, I apologize. What we want to change is where it says we have a PDF for that third line there. When you click that, it gives you a PDF of our positions. I've updated that Word document, but I can't, or the PDF, but I just can't get it to work.
Okay. So the first step will be to click edit your league's headers. This gets us into managing those. We can swap this to WYSIWYG so it'll be easier to work with. So what I would recommend is we actually want to get rid of this. So if you want to save the text so that it's easier for us to use, you can copy it. When we're going to paste it as plain text next, but we'll copy. And what we want to do is backspace until I get up to the Michigan line. So backspace. And now I'm at the end of this link here, LW Michigan positions. So now I can go ahead and hit enter. And I'm going to go back again and just explain why. So if I only got rid of, let's say if I just did the unlink, it's not fully unlinking the PDF URL. So it's still hidden under the HTML. So that's actually,
what we figured.
Yeah, that's not the course that you want to take. It's not getting rid of it, but it looks like it has to our eye. So if I'm starting out this way, I can either highlight the whole thing or go letter by letter, but I'm removing it. So I'm removing that whole thing. And then my final step is to remove the final space that's left. So it looks empty, But one thing that kind of tells me that there's something fishy is that the cursor is blinking red instead of black. So, and then also one other thing is, if I add the link back, we see that the HTML down in the bottom gives us a bit of a preview. The HTML, as I remove it, you know, it's not changing down here. I keep removing. The HTML is still there. So that's telling me there's still something there kind of hidden away. So that's why I want to get rid of that last space. It takes me back up to the line before it. And then I just need to hit enter. And then we can see that the HTML down at the bottom looks a whole lot cleaner. And now I did copy that text. So remember, paste as plain text, because if I paste regularly, it's going to paste back in my old PDF link along with it.
Say that again.
So if I copied the link from before that we just deleted, let's say I just paste in regularly.
Oh, yeah.
It's bringing in that old stuff that I don't want.
Okay.
So let's go back up, and then paste as plain text just gives me my text only.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. And so now I can.
Is this for replacing any HTML or only when you have problems?
This is for replacing specifically like PDF or document links that you've added using the media browser. If you've added these links to PDFs or documents yourself, where it's, you know, you've typed in here, HTTPS, whatever, and it ends with .pdf, then those aren't going to be as tricky to remove. Those you would use these tools like the insert edit link or the link to content tools.
And that's what I was trying to do. So what you're saying is that I guess the last time I worked on it, I somehow used the media browser, but why do I have to use the media browser to put that document? Why can't I just,
you can use either way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So yeah, the media browser is available for you right on the page, but you also could just, if you had another screen open and you're going through your manage files, you could copy the URL from there. The only thing though, when it comes to doing it that way, if you're going through manage files, just make sure you're copying the correct URL. Because let's say if you copy this one, you know, I'm going to click it. If this was the link we used, then folks are going to get to this page and say, huh, what is this? Make sure that you're using this link. So you get to this page and then you either copy or click this link open and then copy that URL.
Okay, now I'm really confused because what I was thinking was, okay, I go there, I delete that third line, make sure I, get then back up to the second line and do an enter. And you're saying I can't just type in, Dearborn Little League and highlight that and then go to insert and get my PDF from my own file?
You have to remove the old PDF HTML.
Right.
So if you're trying to replace it, you have to remove that first.
But aren't I removing it just by deleting it? Isn't that what you said?
Right. And so, yeah, so if you're going to use the insert, so if we're at this point and you're ready to add back the URL, if you have two ways of doing it. You can add it yourself if you're going to use the insert edit link or the link to content. You need the link URL. So that's why you would need to come to manage files.
Why? What am I missing? I'm sorry.
So you mentioned that you wanted to add in the URL yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a PDF and I've got the URL of the PDF.
Do you have it?
Updating it. I'm just updating the PDF.
So where is this PDF residing online?
It's on my own file.
You have to have it online
I see
somewhere.
What you're saying.
It's in media files.
Huh?
It's in media.
Well, but whenever I'm doing something else, I mean, I'm just typing in and then I highlight it and I insert a link. Why is it different when you're working with these positions?
No, and I'm getting a little bit confused. So
I know.
The steps that we took right now to remove the URL or the link to the PDF, we had to do those bit of wonky steps because it was added through the media browser.
And how did you know that? How did you know that?
So you can tell the difference from the HTML code. That's the biggest difference. So this is probably not something that you're going to be using all the time, but when you add a link using the link to the insert edit link or link to content, the HTML tag is open caret A closed caret. That's like the tag that is used to create that link. When it comes to how the media browser creates links, it's different. It's going to use brackets, and there's no open or closed carets. There's no A tag. I can't think of any other discernible part, but it's definitely also a lot longer code than the typical A tag link type code.
Are there any examples already on this page where you could show her?
Let me go back.
Well, yeah.
Okay, yeah, awesome. Thank you, Liz. So we see that just even off of this preview, we see span.media element file full. That's pretty recognizable for it being added through the media browser. If I look at the HTML, I'm going to highlight what constitutes the PDF link. So this is what I was referring to. It has a bunch of brackets. It doesn't have open and closed carets. Let's see. We can compare that PDF link through the media library to this link that is created using the HTTPS. Any type of URL can be added there. It could be a PDF URL or a PDF link, a JPEG link, whatever. But that is how a link is built through the HTML. And this is how a link to a document is built through our media browser and the HTML. So that's, one way to see the difference looking at the HTML, or definitely much easier. If you're looking at the WYSIWYG, you can see when you put your cursor in there, there's an A when I'm clicking into United States and Michigan's positions. When I click into Dearborn Heights, then we see the span media is added in between there. So yeah, we
So is it back? Is it back? I mean, has she got the new version in her media library so she could fix this right now?
Jennifer, I think Jennifer, will you pipe in? Is she still there?
I thought I heard that you said, Jennifer, it was in the media library.
Yes.
Okay,
so
I'm gonna go ahead and highlight it, and let's try and find that item. The only thing is
it's in my
files?
No, my files. It's in I put it in my files.
Okay, I'm not going to be able to find it because I'm not masquerading as you. I'm masquerading as Mary Jo.
Well,
is this the old one?
I might have tried something. What does that say? I can't see.
It says LWV DDH positions, but there's no.
Well, if it's that current, so it probably is a new one.
Okay, let's try it.
Right? Yeah.
There's a few others positions held by LWV DDH 2022, 2020, or 2020 to 2022.
That's the new one.
Okay, let's just go with that one.
I've just kept working on it. You can see how I just look.
Okay, sorry. I kind of went through that last screen quickly, but after I selected the correct one and click submit, the next screen popped up and I just click submit again. I don't need it.
So you what did you do with the third one? Just start over. You highlighted
I highlighted it, chose the media browser.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And then went through the process of finding it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then
let's see it. Let's see it.
I'm gonna go ahead and save this.
I'm afraid.
The moderation state will leave it as published so we can see it right away.
And I wanted to ask you something too about that, Amaris. I was working on this and I noticed that sometimes it hadn't changed from published to draft. And so that's why I thought, it's not working properly, but maybe it just depends on whatever I'm doing.
It does. I'm not sure which type of content you're working with, or
I was working with this.
It's a header though.
The header is always listed as published. So when I come down here, hopefully it's loaded. There we go. The draft option is there, but by default, publish is selected.
Oh, yeah. All right. Unlike like articles and stuff like that. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. The headers is the only one that works that way, that goes straight to publish.
Okay. Thank you.
So let's moment of truth.
1, 2, 3.
Is it 6 pages? Yes. Oh my God.
There's 5 pages. Is that okay? It says
Yeah,
February 22,
yes, 5 pages,
2022.
5 pages, yeah.
Yay.
Oh my
thank you
gosh.
so much. Look at the smile on
Yeah.
Jennifer's face.
Except, yeah,
Awesome.
except I've made some changes, but I don't care anymore.
Oh, well,
It's Friday.
well, you know how to change it. You know how to, you can do it later. Yeah.
Yes, I can do it later. Yeah, I could tell because the page number was, left justified rather than right justified. I mean, it's so
Thank you
important.
so
You
much.
know the
Thank you.
document so well by now, Jennifer.
Oh, well, I was close. I kept getting, but it would show up in weird places. So it's, you scroll down, let's see. Dearborn Heights,
To what
Dearborn
now?
to Dearborn. Does it have?
To Dearborn.
Okay.
Where exactly?
I can't see.
Yeah, but you're looking at the, we
I'm
didn't
I'm not
change
sure what
anything
you're
there.
trying to get me to look
Oh,
at.
Dearborn, no, it's good. Okay, because
But that's-
whatever I had done, I had screwed something up in that part too.
Oh.
But obviously none of it had taken.
Well, don't touch that. We only work with the PDF.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much.
For
Yeah,
sure.
thank you.
Well, we all learned something about looking at the kind of link it was. I've never knew that you could see the media one versus the regular HTML, HTTP.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's sometimes I think like, oh, that's a very wonky thing, but it's helpful to know the little differences.
Right. Because I went through a lot of the videos and I'm going, why are there so many ways? And I kept trying each of the different ways, the link and unlink, and now it's something I will notice. Is it?
Yeah, no, we have video documentation on this, the process of how to replace a PDF, because we see that a lot in, obviously in this case, but we see it a lot in like newsletter pages. Either folks are trying to replace one or they're just trying to keep adding to the list. And so we have a video on the tips and tricks on how to do that, like replacing and removing PDF links or adding to lists. Lynette, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, do we have enough time to figure out why I'm not getting the option of those advanced analytics?
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's
hold on. I got a question about what they were just doing.
Oh, for sure.
If they had done the link, the little link instead of the other file, and then they changed the document wherever it is, would that new document automatically show up? So if they had a link to a document and then they replace the document link, would it automatically be the right link then?
No, it's a PDF.
So, well, what Barb is asking is, if, let's say we were using, here we go. Let's say we were using this link instead. So instead of going through the media browser, let's say I went through my managed files, I found the link and used this .pdf link instead. If you go through, to edit, let's say we're updating this, you replace the file here, then the same link is going to work for the replaced file. So you don't have to update the link that I just copied. You paste it into there we go. So this link could stay the same. I could replace the file within MyLO, and this link will still get me to that new version that I've just replaced the file with. So yeah, the system is doing the work in the back end to show the new file using the same URL. If you use this replace file option, if you upload a new file completely to your MyLO media library, then you do have to replace the URL or use the media browser. But yeah, good question, Barb. If you are using the PDF, which is the same as for using the media browser, if you replace a file, regardless of if you're using the URL or you use the media browser, the replaced file is going to be the one to display. I will say it does take a bit of time, typically about 5 to 15 minutes sometimes to see the replaced file, but it will be represented by the same URL or media browser.
So
option.
they could have done that.
Yes, that would be an option too. Yeah.
And they wouldn't have had to edit the link or anything. The right one would show up once it shows up.
Right.
I think we get impatient when we don't see the change. I see that with graphics sometimes when I change graphics. Doesn't
Definitely
show up
understand
for a
it.
while.
Yeah, no, I get you there. And so that's why I wanted to share that we have the cache in case, you know, send out the SOS if something is really not showing up.
Maybe we can go into how to replace a file a little bit in the future and in some future session, because
Oh, yeah.
I have never had success with that. It all sounds really simple, but for me, it always gets messed up and I end up having to manually do the links. So I would like to, you know, be more knowledgeable of how that works. And I
Yeah,
also
for
just
sure.
want to say those little wonky things, those are the ones that make us tear our hairs out. You know, it's like if you know it, oh, that's no big deal. But you know, if you don't know it, you waste hours and hours trying to figure it out. So thank you for sharing all of that with us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I've wanted to have a session where it's like, I just throw my brain at you, like all the random things that I think of when I'm coming through MyLO. I want to be able to compile them and just we go through a session of, oh, there's this thing. Oh, and then there's this thing. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Well, especially the thing where you have to make it HTML to make it work when you're working with embedded code and stuff. And that's really kind of, you'd think if you just save it, it knows how to do it right.
Oh yeah, no, that definitely can be a very simple but annoying thing, because you're like, I see everything when I go to edit. It looks great, but
why isn't it working?
yeah. Yeah.
Yep,
Well,
thanks.
cool. I think hopefully I'll be able to compile some more tips for next, but I made a note for replace file that we'll go over that. And if you have any other
Well,
suggestions.
Lynette.
Oh yes,
still-
Lynette. Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, I have another call right at 2, so I'm not sure if we can get this done in that amount of time, but if it's a quick fix, yeah, let's do it. If not,
let's give it a try.
Specific just to my website and not anybody else's. So where I got stuck. Fine. And your video was wonderful. I just wasn't able to get it to work.
Oh no. I did see that it was something about the property like portion. You weren't able to see the advanced part.
Yeah. Your directions very clearly show, you know, the screenshot of there's this option that says advanced options, and it wasn't on my screen for some bizarre reason.
And was this a property that you had already set up, or were you barely creating it? It was an existing one?
Well, I was creating the whole thing.
Okay. So you started out with creating an account first? Okay. So I'm just gonna quickly go through these first steps just so I can get to the property setup. So I did see that your screenshot looked different than this.
Yeah, where at the kind of middle bottom there where it says show advanced options, mine didn't have that. It had everything else, but not that.
So if that is the case, and I'm going to bring up your email here. Okay, yeah, I see that that's the difference. So this is actually what the Google Analytics screen looked like before they updated it. Ever since their update, that's when we had to update our instructions. Because what we use is a universal analytics property. And it leads me to believe that this is automatically trying to get you to create a universal analytics property, because this looks familiar to me as to what the interface looked like before.
How am I getting to an old interface when I'm just now setting this up?
I have no clue, but I will say that I would recommend saving it and getting to the point where it does generate the tracking code for you. Have you been able to save it so far already?
I tried to save it, but nothing really happens. And I can call you later, or we can set up a meeting.
That might be easier
Okay.
because yeah, I think it might be something specific to your account, or maybe something a setting that we need to enable. Yeah, because it's definitely weird that it looks different, and even weirder that it looks familiar, like the older screen or the older interface.
Okay.
Valerie,
Well, thank you. I'm going to sign off.
All right, thanks, Lynette.
Thanks.
Thank
that-
you.
is that something that we have to do if we've set our Google Analytics up a year or two ago? Do we have to?
You don't have
go
to
into some
update it
meeting?
again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good to go if you still have it in place.
Could it be
All right.
something with how she set the property set up? Without, because it's, where it says account setup?
The fact that she was able to get to the property steps means that there's an existing account. So it's something that's holding her up with the property, but the fact that it doesn't look like my screen is weird.
Is it because in the property, I mean, this is a woman who has been frustrated because there's so many opportunities. In the account setup, is it because it's not clicked for Google products and services?
No, this is just the data sharing setting. So what you want to share from your account back to Google.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Why don't you Google it? Why don't you Google it?
See if Google will give me the
why is
answer.
the advanced settings not showing when I'm setting up my Google Analytics? Or, somebody else may have the same problem.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to meet with Lynette. I don't think it's something that I'm going to try to tackle at this moment. I don't have all the information from her account.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say, if anybody has any ideas, feel free to shoot them my way. I appreciate Maddie letting me know about the replace files, like anything like that, any little thing, because then that'll help me compile my, my list of where I'm just throwing everything at you.
Thank you.
Boy, we should be documenting this.
Recorded.
Right, I am recorded, yeah, so I can't go back now. All right, folks.
All right.
Next
Thank
one
you,
will
guys.
be March 11th.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you
folks.
so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for attending. We'll see you next time.